It's probably a bit of a weird thing to think about at 12 or 13, but I had this idea that I wanted to make the most of absolutely every opportunity that came along and not have any regrets. I remember thinking that you don't want to be an old person saying what if or if only.
Hooray, we're at the top.
You get into habits of working hard, you get into habits of setting your sights pretty high, because that's what I've done for so long. Now, part of me really craves that pressure, but another part of me realises it'd be nice one day not to have that. Doing something that no person's done before, that's what really gets me out of bed every day. So no teams won the World Cup back-to-back, no captains won the thing back-to-back. You know, to be the first team and first players to do that, that's what gets me out of bed. Very, very few people that retire having nailed everything they want to nail and finish when they want to finish. Oh, that's pretty rare in sport. But the fact that we've got another chance to play at a World Cup, the reward's huge, but perhaps the disappointment's big as well, but you got to risk all that to get those rewards.
The All Blacks in South Africa are back at Ellis Park, Johannesburg.
The Springboks today have claimed the underdogs tag, which they love to do.
Well, it's a cold winter's afternoon here in Johannesburg, and the clash of the old foes is going to kick off at 5 o'clock.
I've thought a little bit about that I won't get to tour here again, but I'm just grateful to have another chance to play in Ellis Park. It's one of the great places to play. So I just trying to enjoy a Springbok test, you know, because it's one of the ultimates.
Are the All Blacks going to carry on their steady march of form and ability, or can Skalkberger and the players around him try and knock one over Richie for the last time that he plays here at Ellis Park?
Richie McCaw has won more test matches than I've played. He's created a culture of winning. You know, you watch him play and there's a ruthlessness. Yeah, I think he demands of his teammates perfection. Everyone wants to beat him.
There's a lot of psyche involved with international sport. We often draw a few similarities to get inspiration through the guys that go to war or go into battle. And that's what those guys back in wars and that were fighting for, was for their sense of identity and who you were. I always wondered myself whether, if I was in that situation, whether I'd have enough courage and that. You know, you'd like to think you would, but you know, you talk about being brave or having courage. Well, it's pretty easy to do that because you're going home every day. Out of all the rivalries we have, it's one of the toughest tests you play, physically, and just how hard it is to win. There's a huge amount of respect between the Springbok players and the All Blacks.
Incredible test match. South Africa with a 3-point lead, and bravery from the All Blacks. And Taylor to the front. It's a variation and a score! Richie McCaw, All Blacks!
2017 up with 3 to 4 minutes to go and you lose 27-20. I mean, that hurts.
He's a complicated rooster. On the field's his arena. It's where he's most comfortable. He just has to play. He doesn't have to be anything else other than a rugby player. Off the field, I think, at times it's a struggle for him. He's a reluctant hero.
I would say, as a younger fellow, I was a bit shy. I wouldn't be the type of guy that was easiest to get to know, and you know, that still wasn't easy. And I think within a team, that's something I've had to work on. I don't just bowl on in, you know, like some people have the ability to do and just chat away at it. And I guess that's just probably the natural shyness I've always had. My folks will probably ring up every second day just to see what's going on, and you know, they get along to as many games as they can because they love coming to watch and support. But I think if you're going to talk about the McCaws in general, we're a pretty unemotional bunch. It's just guess the way you're brought up, you never say too much about what you're feeling. And I do notice on the TV sometimes, when I know I'm pretty happy with what happens, I'll be just pretty deadpan compared to some people. Whether it's the farming background, because I know all the people where we came from, everyone was just sort of a bit like that, you know.
We've been brought up not afraid to show emotion, but I think just keeping it within ourselves.
Have a bit of chicken, see? I'm good now, thanks.
We've lived in the middle of nowhere on a farm. Famous.
Leonard's birthday, is it? So happy birthday
but there's two separate worlds in his world.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mother.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Richard. Happy birthday to you.
Growing up, the valley we're in, it was when I say isolated, it was a community that it was pretty small, really. You didn't sort of just hang out with your friends or anything after school. You were back home. They were obviously a wee way away on their farms and stuff. When I first went to primary school, it was a small school and the kids there all talked about rugby, and I remember the older kids, when I first arrived, you know, you're going to play rugby, and I was sort of obviously only 5, and I was like, oh, rugby. And then we used to play it at lunchtimes, and I think pretty much from the first day at school I'd go home and ask whether I could play rugby on Saturdays. I guess the first time I really understood who the All Blacks were was the '87 World Cup, and especially the final. That's probably the first game I remember properly watching.
I can still visualise him on the floor, his eyes glued to the TV. And then he went for a run round outside. We just saw out of the corner of our eye, here he was doing the haka, so he'd obviously taken the haka on board.
I kind of remember vaguely that I used to do that, and the other place I used to practice the haka was in the shower. Don't know why. And I had one test match recorded, and I used to pretty much watch it over and over again.
Oh, he was a solid boy, but he was absolutely fearless. But the thing about it was we'd have to play touch because the ground was that hard. And I said, no, Richie, you can't tackle. And he'd look at you as if to say, what the hell's wrong with you?
That's it, 2 steps in, drive it in, yeah, fantastic.
One story that I've never ever told to anybody because it was a wee bit humiliating. I think we were under 10 and I was trying to get them to bring the ball up. And Richard's turn came round and he barreled me back about 3 metres. And he hit me up and under here somewhere. And I thought he had broken my rib. And I said to the boys, I said, look, I've got to go home early today. I've got to shift a mob of sheep. So, wow, look, I limped around for about 3 days.
I could see that he could play well, and I said to him, look, if you get yourself fit, you know, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. And the next day he decided he'd go for a run. And I noticed he just didn't go out to the gate. He went for a serious couple of 3K away before he turned around to come home. And I thought, blimey. Yeah, how'd he do that?
I look back on it, that was pretty dedicated really as a young fella, but all of a sudden the game was a lot easier and I just loved winning. I guess for as long as I can remember I've always been very competitive. But even against my sister, I made sure I was trying to win all the time. You ask yourself, why is it so important to win against your mates, you know? But I go away angry sometimes when I haven't won. You want to be in the top. That's what drove me, I guess. Well, it did. I know it did.
Because we'd gone to boarding school ourselves, we thought it'd be a good idea to send them.
It wouldn't have been easy in that boarding house, but I mean, yeah, I thought, well, if he survives, then he'd be right.
We had to grow up pretty quick, you know, boarding school can be a bit of a shock, and I don't think it's for every kid. And, you know, there's times you get homesick, but every time I mention that to Mum and Dad, they say, well, if you want to be here, you know, but all your friends are going away to boarding school, and, you know, what would you do here? And it's sort of, yeah.
Like a lot of boarding schools, you had to sort of fit in the best you could, keeping your head down, trying to stay out of the way of the seniors. He didn't fall in line necessarily with what the seniors wanted him to do. You know, they'd try and put him in his place. And I remember some of them said, well, you're going to be nothing, you're not going to be more determined to prove them wrong. Well, he wasn't necessarily the biggest or the strongest, or maybe had the best ball skills, but there was something a little bit different in terms of how strong he was mentally. That combined with working pretty hard academically.
And first starting, second chemistry, second physics, second equal, statistics, good work, calculus, Richard McCaw.
I got a bit of a hard time for doing a lot of schoolwork, but instead of not doing it conforming, I went harder because I wanted to do it right. I wanted to be the best at it.
Has given his biggest hint yet he may retire from rugby after this year's World Cup. And he squashed rumours he's seeking a lucrative French contract, saying the big money on offer overseas isn't likely to lure him. Yesterday, the 34-year-old...
It's really hard to say that I won't be playing again next year. You know, it's easy to talk about maybe when you actually come to the point and say I won't be playing next year and I'm retiring. And so it's pretty tough to say. And I guess I've used this year to get my head around that, no, that'll be it. You know, people always say be careful about turning your passion into a job, but I think rugby has been my greatest love. And like, I haven't had a wife and kids at home that some guys, you know, that stresses them out when they're away trying to play rugby and that. I've never really had those issues. Underlying feeling I've always had is that I'm just sort of in a holding time until I get on with life. You know, that's the way it's always felt, is that at some point I'll get on with life.
A retired top rugby referee is crying foul over All Black captain Richie McCaw's match-winning try against the Springboks. Richie McCaw leads the All Blacks next week to the Rugby Championship decider against Australia, where of course he is no stranger to accusations of cheating, and former Wallaby captain and